coming to motherhood very young and being very far from anybody was very isolating.
You don't have a friend that was going through it with you, right?
Like this is not a childbirth class. This is the real deal, and here we are. And you just put your head down and you put one foot in front of the other and you just keep going. Just be joyful with them, because the best part about having kids is it lets you be a kid again.
Welcome to Advanced Maternal Age, real and raw talk from pregnancy, labor, 3 a.m. trenches, and the messy magic of motherhood.
Fertility, conception, surprise turns, and the acronyms no one asked for.
Whether you're tracking your cycle, cuddling a newborn, or figuring out what's next, you're in the right place.
I'm Achint.
I'm Meredith. We're your co-pilots on this AMA ride.
This is Advanced Maternal Age. Well, welcome to the show.
We're here with my mom today in the hot seat.
I'm in the hot seat. I feel it too.
Oh, good. Okay.
With all the lights and everything.
Yeah, a little sweater, a little menopause. It's all working for me.
Everything in your face. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, we are here to talk to my mom, who's visiting, helping me out with the baby. Has been here for, I guess, a month.
Yeah, about 6 weeks.
Yeah. And we'll be here for another month. And we'll let her kind of give her own intro, but she's visiting from Hawaii, from Maui, where I'm born and raised. And we are in very cold New Jersey. So it's been a nice change of weather for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, my mom has an interesting story, which we're going to get into all the details with today, from being a young mom when she got pregnant with me, and then being a advanced maternal age mom when she was pregnant with my youngest sibling. And we're going to talk about that, the differences that you experienced, how your relationship changed over time, what happened, changes in your marriage between first and last child. I mean, we can discuss the other two in the middle if we feel like it, but they're not really that important. I feel like I know a lot of the answers. Maybe I'll find some new stuff out today, but I think Achint's going to take the lead.
I'm very excited.
Because this is all new information for her.
Wonderful.
So we'll do it like that, and we'll see how it goes.
Great.
Don't hold anything back. Everyone wants to know all the details.
Exactly.
I'm good at not holding anything back. And a lot of the players are dead, so, they can't come back and...
Lucky you.
We're really
set the record straight.
We're starting off on a good note.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. So I know you're originally from Long Island. Yes. So kind of from this area anyways, but just kind of tell us a quick life story of, your upbringing, why you chose to move to Hawaii, your experience of raising kids there is vastly different than how it is on the East Coast and whatnot. And I know me and you have already talked before about how you knew that you were just not going to raise your kids in Long Island and how that experience was. Because I mean, even from us talking, it's just so cool to hear about the school systems there and everything.
Yeah.
And you're also in childhood education, right? So you have a really in-depth knowledge of just children overall, and and my mom didn't have any of this. So it's really interesting to hear it from you.
Right. Okay, so yes, I was raised on Long Island. I was born in Brooklyn. Mm-hmm. My family had just recently moved from Brooklyn to the suburbs of Long Island when my mom was pregnant. So the seeds of my life were planted in Brooklyn. My parents and my older brother lived there, where my father had a textile mill. But during my mother's pregnancy with me, I was born in 1968, it was decided that they were going to buy a house on Long Island. They bought a house in Manhasset.
Yeah.
So even though we already lived on Long Island, when my mom went into labor, they did go back to Brooklyn to Wyckoff Heights Memorial Hospital. I was raised on Long Island. I started at merry-go-round preschool, and then I went to public school in the,
Port Washington.
She remembers merry-go-round preschool, but she doesn't remember not pull my dishwasher out before it's done working.
That's true. It seems it takes a very long time.
Menopause is a hell of a thing, people. It's a hell of a thing. Tell everyone how you made your way to the lovely island of Maui.
Oh, yeah. That is so cool.
All right. So I was following quite a traditional path. I graduated high school. I went to Bucknell University in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania. I was a biology major.
Wow.
I played lacrosse and I played basketball. Yeah. And I was just a type A kid doing exactly what I was supposed to do. And I was just beginning to wonder
Wait,
if
are you the oldest? I'm so sorry.
No, middle child.
only
Middle
girl.
child.
Only
girl.
Mhm. I was
Middle
just
child,
wondering
no.
what to do with this biology degree because I had thought, like, I'll just be a pediatrician. Like, I like kids
Yeah.
and I like science. And I didn't realize that
You
you
could go to
could
med-
do something else with those two likes.
Yeah.
So I was on that track to, study medicine and be a pediatrician. And I was walking through the biology building one day, and this is back when there were no QR codes. And if you wanted to advertise a service or something, you made a flyer and then you made sort of little perpendicular notes and you cut them into
still have
little
those on the
strips.
telephone
They
poles
still
around
have them
here.
at the Sikh temple.
Great. They still have them all over Jersey City on the telephone poles.
Yeah, yeah.
For your, your house cleaners.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it was an ad or a petition to come on to study humpback whales in the summertime, in our summer, university summer, which of course in the Southern Hemisphere is the winter time.
Okay.
So it was to join a group called Pacific Whale Foundation and be an intern
That's
on
really
their
cool.
research project. So I thought, though, that sounded like some fun. So I took the little snip and I mailed away for like a brochure because that's how that was done,
I
pre-internet.
still remember that.
Crazy.
And, got the packet back and fast forward, talked my parents into it to sending me to Australia. And I was an intern there. And I was about 8 days into my 3-week internship and I was on the lawn.
This is the end of freshman year or sophomore year?
This was the end of sophomore year.
Sophomore year, okay.
And so
You were 19 or
Yeah.
you're 20?
I wasn't 19. I had just turned 19.
Okay, got it. I can't remember how old people are.
So I was cleaning the equipment on the lawn, the camera equipment and whatnot that we used on the boat. And a taxi pulls up out front of this research house on this little spick. It's called North Stradbroke Island. It's off the coast of Brisbane. I mean, look it up. It's hard to find it on a map. And this gentleman kind of striding across the lawn.
Gentleman.
Very,
She said gentleman.
Wow.
many years
probably the
14
nicest
years
thing she'll
my
say.
senior.
How
That's the thing she'll
romantic.
say about him in this whole podcast.
The Gen Zers would love this.
Yeah.
14 years elder.
And he stopped and, said hi, introduced himself. So I just went about my business there. And
So he was so I'm trying to connect this. He was a president of the foundation
this
for where you were
interning from.
interning.
Yeah.
But it was early in the infancy of for perspective, he had the company maybe for a while, but if people look up what PWF, that's the acronym, Pacific Whale Foundation is today, it's an impressive organization. There's for-profit and nonprofit entities. But at the time, how many years did he have? Yeah, it was
8 years after he had founded.
Okay.
They were just starting to do.
There was just nonprofit at the time. There's no for-profit
Right.
portion.
That's right. And people, if anybody is listening to this and they've been to Maui and they've gone on the cruises, it might be hard to conceive of. But at the beginning, they would just charter other people's boats occasionally to raise funds.
To do the research.
Yeah, and to do out benefit whale watches. Anyway, so I was just not involved in any of that because that was all happening back in Maui. But we got to talking. He asked me about my life. He was very interested in me.
Was he American?
Yes.
Or was there? Okay.
He was American. He was also married.
Okay.
Didn't really.
But did you know this at the time? When did you find the marriage part out?
Was he wearing a ring?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we knew.
I wasn't I don't recall me thinking ooh, I'm gonna get this guy.
No,
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
think
I
that's your personality.
Talking-
No,
No.
I can't
Listen,
see that.
as we can all say as women, men, whether they're married or not, especially if they're married, if there's no signal, they give you the vibe. You know what I mean? It's not
Yeah.
I don't believe that you didn't get a vibe from him. That's just not, it's not
Well, I got a vibe pretty quick. It just wasn't that very first day.
right.
But it was within a few days.
There was a vibe.
That he asked me to go out to dinner with him. We're out
Yeah,
there
yeah.
and there's other people on the team.
It's
And I'm
very
like, oh, this-
obvious that you're getting the more attention.
And I'm getting
everything.
kind of put in this position now because the other people who are on the team are like,
They're
well, we
looking
didn't
at
get
you.
invited out to dinner with the
And
boss.
everyone knows that he's married.
Sure.
How awkward.
Sure. And then, so we went out to dinner.
That's your dad.
No, but listen, this is where I get it from. I'm going to tell you that. She likes to make fun of me, but I'm over here I just feel like the apple doesn't fall that far from the tree here.
They never really do.
This is
they?
a story. I could insert myself in this story. This did not happen to me.
Yeah, yeah.
So everyone knows this did not happen to me.
It's hard to not look back on it now with everything I know and not think he was grooming me from the beginning.
Because I think when you're that young, you're so impressionable. It is, I can still feel like at 19, it's very, even from our community perspective, people are you're just impressionable. You still have a lot of like, your parents or the outside people have a lot of influence, but it's also like when you're dealing with a position of power or you have something that like, oh my God, I'm getting put in this position. Why would I not take that opportunity? You're going to take it. And I can't blame your age for that. You know what I mean?
The other part was it was very flattering to have the attention of a mature man.
Of course.
I mean, I had
That's
a high
probably
school.
recognizing your intelligence.
Well, I had a boyfriend back at college who was perfectly nice, perfectly wonderful.
Yeah, but the older men.
yeah, but all of a sudden he seemed very immature. And so when I went, so two things let me know.
They're the college boyfriend seemed immature. Got it. Yeah, okay.
Two things in that summer let me know that things were maybe going to be more intense. So after I was already in Australia, again, I'm from the Northeast, so I had already planned to do some onward travel after the internship was over. And so I had gone out to Uhuru or Ayers Rock in the center. It's like it's a big monolith, a big rock that has a lot of significance for Aboriginal people. And I booked into a hotel there, and I'm sitting there on the little balcony 2 days after I get there. And who do I see striding across the lawn toward me but one Greg Kaufman?
What?
Wow.
So
that would be considered red flags in today's.
No, not even. I don't think so. I was just going to say, if I called you and told you someone was doing that for me, I think we would all be like, oh my God, how romantic.
No, it is romantic. But for 19 and a married person, that's like signaling red
for
flags.
sure. Sorry, I forgot about those details.
Yeah, so that's when things sort of changed.
So he knew you were going there because you told him.
Yeah.
But he didn't let on that he was going to go.
No.
Oh, wow. No. I didn't know this.
Yeah.
And again, I only know my dad the way I know him, and I would not at all describe him as a romantic.
Yeah.
Like literally the last thing I would say.
So he was definitely in that pursuing vein. And then we went on, before I left the country, went on to Sydney.
Right.
Then again, I had been planning to stay in basically like a hostel, a nice hostel, my own room.
Yeah, no, but like the hostels are really nice.
And then we were at the Grand
countries.
Hyatt all of a sudden in Sydney Harbor.
The Grand Hyatt.
So
how did that happen?
But I don't know how he had no coin then. That's crazy.
He didn't have any coin, but whatever coin he had, he was gonna
fake credit card coin.
He was gonna use it to impress me
with his ex-wife's or his wife's name on it.
Anyway, so that was very sweep you off your feet kind of moment.
So wait, so you go to Sydney and he's like, "Hey, I'm here. We're staying."
No, they went together.
Ayers Rock, and then he convinced me to go with him to Sydney.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool.
So it was kind of whirlwind, couple days.
Yeah, but like at 19,
I forgot about the boyfriend.
And then how long after all of this transpired did you end up? Well, you didn't end up on Maui originally.
So yeah, I only went back to school for one more semester.
Okay.
To Bucknell.
So from September to December.
Yep.
Semester.
And then I went to Maui.
No, but you didn't go to Maui, right? Didn't you go to?
Well, I went to the Big Island first.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, so after Sydney, he's like,
went back to school.
Okay, right. You finish your whole intern and you're like, all right, I'm going to go back.
Yeah. But, and
then you guys kept in touch.
But
you guys kept in touch.
Yeah.
Via email or no,
not
the email was too early.
It'd be like landline.
Yep.
But you had a landline letters. Really?
That's really romantic.
He wrote letters?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, but he's terrible handwriting.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. All men do.
Probably. If we hadn't been,
my dad
I don't want to give away the punchline, but I probably burned those letters. But I mean, they probably existed somewhere.
Oh, really? You kept them?
I don't know. Hard to say.
I wonder if, unless he wrote it
they
in
were
pen.
Probably pretty salacious. I probably didn't want to keep them.
Ew. Oh my God.
That's how you were born, Meredith.
Oof, harsh.
So then I came to Hawaii, or the idea was I would come to Hawaii, and I should have again realized. This is because he was married. So I came to a different island.
Wait! I need the details in between. This is so interesting. So you go and there's letters written. At what point does he convince you
to leave college?
Yeah, to leave college and come visit him. What was the ticket to be hey, come help me with the foundation?
Okay, so the idea was to just come for Christmas.
Okay.
But I was playing basketball, so I would have to make a choice then to continue playing basketball or go away for Christmas, because you can't do both.
Yeah.
But did your parents know you were doing this at the time, or no, they didn't know?
Oh, there was a couple of things my parents didn't know at the time. So I didn't really know I was moving to Hawaii for good.
Okay, so you
honestly.
just go and spend Christmas.
Yeah, I spend Christmas and then I just decide that I'm going to stay there.
How does he convince you?
But when
I don't know that he convinced me. I think it was
convinced
me. Yeah, it was me deciding like, I'm just going to take this opportunity to do something completely different. Like, I don't know.
I mean, he was laying it on thick.
Well, I was on a different island. Okay. So I was on Hawaii Island.
Okay.
And he was on Maui.
Okay.
And I said like, okay, this is kind of a fun life. I was working on the whale watch boat, and which we would do snorkels in the morning. And then it wasn't very busy. It wasn't like tourism on Maui. So we would take the boat and go diving. The crew who worked on boat, we'd go scuba diving in the afternoon. So if you're a biology major and you get to go scuba diving every day, it's a pretty sweet life.
But I think what everyone wants to know here is you went there knowing that you were going there maybe for just a visit, but ultimately you knew he was married, so you knew you had to like fly under the radar.
Well, and also
This
by
you
this
knew.
point, he's telling me how he's getting separated, you know, the whole story that they tell you.
Yeah,
But I don't know
someone
enough to know if
gets-
it's the truth. I know that there's no children, that I know, and that he works with her, but they're getting separated. Okay, but that's why I went to this other island,
Yeah.
right? Not the island where they lived,
Right.
but she came over one because she worked for the company. She came over one day.
So you were still working for that PW company, but
Yeah.
now this is the nonprofit side. He
This is
It was
the
basically
always
business.
nonprofit at this point. The for-profit didn't happen until years later.
Okay, so
I was
basically,
working on the cruise boat, though.
so he helped you
taking-
get that job.
Oh no, he like, set me up in that.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay.
Oh yeah, and I had like a little like a condo.
Oh, nice.
And so he once now and again he would come over. So anyway, she knew the whole scoop. She knew I existed and she knew I was over there on this island. And she came over there and hit me with her like cold, icy daggers. But you know, I was looking fine. I mean, if you can imagine me at 19, like all tan with my big old basketball muscles, like
all tall, Model
And was
S.
she the same?
I did not worry about
Was
her
she the
dagger
same
eyes.
age as dad?
Yeah.
Okay, so for reference, she was like 33.
Yeah.
And this woman still lives on Maui or no?
No. And so then eventually after that first season, I moved over to Maui. He settled his business. I moved over there. I moved in. So this is 1988.
Which this tracks too, because between the divorce from my mom and then the person he married before he died, there was no like real lag there either. Like it was very
He really was leaving his wife for your mom.
yeah, but he's done this like this is like a pattern.
Yeah, he doesn't want to be by himself.
Right.
A lot of guys don't. They do.
I mean, I got
would
the
never
dog
admit it,
that they
though.
had. That became my dog. You know, that's how quickly that happens. Like, oh, they didn't have a kid, but they had a dog. And
Wow.
and then
Is it Dalmatian?
yeah, Dalmatian mix. And then the first time I got pregnant was shortly after I moved to Maui. So I got pregnant before Meredith and had an abortion. And that would have been probably within the first 6 months.
Okay.
And I was just like, oh yeah, this definitely can't happen.
Yeah.
You were
'cause
20
like-
at that point.
Yeah. And I had no problem like that. It wasn't even a moral dilemma for me, I must tell you. Like that just did not fit into my plan. And
I think that's a very valid thing.
I mean, that's how I moved from having
If
a
any-
male doctor, though, to a female doctor. Because, you know, I just had whatever. I remember going in and being like, you know, talking to him saying, you know, actually, I can't keep this pregnancy. He was like so very businesslike about it. So like, well,
And
you
this
know,
would have been in 88 or 89.
89, early 89.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean,
And I was like, well, maybe it's nothing for you, but it's a something for me. And I still remember, you know, it was, you know, psychically, emotionally, like coming home from the doctor, it was hard.
Yeah.
It was very emotional. And I can't imagine really making that choice after I had children, because that would be something different
But
altogether.
it's 20 years old is like, it's so young. I can't imagine like looking back at like us, like if me and Meredith were 20 years old, like I know I had no idea what I was doing in my life. I never felt settled. I was like still a child. Like it was, I would never have been in a position to have a child at that
But it
age.
wasn't such a big difference because then a year later I got pregnant with her.
I was going to
And
say.
here she is.
But
And
I
now
think,
what
but obviously
made
you weren't going to do
weren't
it
in a-
twice.
What were you like in a committed relationship? And you
No,
felt more
I'm still
secure
with
in
him, but now my father has cancer,
that?
you know? So that's
Like the meaning of life meant
yeah,
more.
like my dad and Meredith probably like passed basically in some spiritual
Yeah.
other earthly realm.
Do you
my
feel
dad
like
died
she's
in
got his
May.
personality?
My grandma says I do some things like him.
Because there's like they do say that if they cross over, that sometimes they pick up their personality
Maybe a
or their
sense of
soul.
humor. Maybe sense of humor.
Yeah.
They both have a very good sense of humor. My dad was a funny ass guy. So my dad died on May 28th of 1989, and Meredith was born on February 3rd of 1990. So February, March, April, May, 9 months later, she's here. Yeah.
Yeah, the
So,
meaning of life just felt a lot more.
like I just couldn't. Yeah. I just couldn't do it, but I wasn't really sure. And I was really struggling with that. I was just really thinking at that point, I was going to make a choice. Was I going to go back to New York pregnant? My mom reeling from my dad's death. I mean, that hit my mom like a Mack truck. She's 43 years old and she's lost her husband.
young.
Who was the love of her life. And all the promises of all the things they would do when the kids were grown, when they retired, and just robbed.
Because he literally died when like my uncle was like leaving to go to college.
Yeah.
That's young though.
1 year
40-something.
from diagnosis to death from cancer.
That's really sad.
So my mom was like, okay, this family's falling apart and I'm the only one here. And now you're having a baby with somebody you're not married to.
Nice.
And the two grandmas kind of weighed in. My father's mother, both of these grandmas, of course, are World War II, have lived through it, right? My father's mother, because my father's parents are both still alive after he's dead, says, you know what? It's not the worst thing that could happen. A baby is never the worst thing. She was
that's
very
what
pragmatic.
they say. Yeah, they're never, that's what everybody says. Indian people always say that.
Yeah. And my mother's mother was just like, she just like basically just wanted to start telling me what to do with apple cider vinegar. Like she just wanted to start with her home remedies and tell me all the things I could do. And I really leaned into like my grandmothers with Meredith because of the time difference, because I was so far from family, because when you're in the middle of the night, when you're pregnant, not so much because I was 21. I basically sailed through pregnancy playing tennis up until 2 weeks before, like, oh, somebody picked that up. I just dropped a baby, Obviously my birth wasn't that easy, but my body was just like super young.
You're like
There's
resilient.
But being very far from family.
It's tough.
And then finding yourself with like somebody who, wanted to have this baby with you, but really now is leaving to go to work at 8 a.m. and coming back at 7 p.m. And you are, myself, basically a child.
But did he really want to have the baby?
Well,
what was his reaction when you told him that you were pregnant again? A year after the abortion.
Well, I said, like, it's going to be really hard for me. It's going to be really hard for me to not have this baby because of my dad.
Okay.
And he said, I think we should have it.
Okay.
What was the reaction the first time?
Oh, we both were like, no. I mean, I remember saying to him, like, I'm not going to have this baby. And
you only knew him for like a year, basically.
Yeah. He didn't try to talk it out. But by the second, I think we never talked about it, but I think, I wouldn't say it haunted him, but I think, he was thinking he was one of 6 children. He came from a family, his parents came from the families that were very large. And I think he probably did some thinking in that intervening time. Like, okay, like, do I want to have a family? And obviously being with this much younger girl is going to be my chance.
Right. And for perspective too, on your side of the family, I'm the first grandchild, but on my dad's side, I'm like the youngest one.
Same.
So all of his brothers, all my uncles already had kids.
Yeah.
So he was like slow to that race.
Yeah.
Which honestly maybe was like a little bit of an envious thing because like they all had some competition with each other. So I could also see how.
And he had, although a very strained relationship with his parents, during the time when Meredith and at least the next child after her, their next sibling, during their early childhood, that really brought their dad back to his parents in a way that didn't exist.
I think
for
children
his whole adult
definitely
life.
do that.
He saw them as a little through different eyes. He forgave them some of the pettiness and the pitting of one child against each other and the competitive crap that they had to deal with in their upbringing. And he kind of came with these golden girls from Maui, trotted out his kids with their beautiful Hawaiian names and their hula dances.
That's so cute.
I can't.
Yeah. It changed him in some very positive ways.
Yeah.
Really did.
Do you feel like he got softer also?
A little bit until he didn't.
I
But
wouldn't say.
in the early
I don't remember the
years,
soft phase.
in the early years, yes. And I mean, I guess it's
when they're like cute little girlies. With,
it's
like,
a
the
credit to Meredith
pigtails.
that the most enthusiastic he ever was about having any of our 4 children was the one that is West, who's right after Meredith. He was very anxious to have another child. The number 3 and number 4, not so much.
That's
One
always
was,
the case.
One was like a bargain, and the other was like a way to keep me from going back to work, and that was his idea. But he was very enthusiastic about that one, and really was very, very excited.
Why is that a credit to me?
Because you were a great little kid.
Oh, except for I had colic.
Yeah, but how quickly you forget that. You don't forget it when you're in it. But
like her face changed.
sitting here now, I cannot even remember that.
Her face changed so fast, which is the thing. You don't forget it when you're in it.
No, when you're in
She
it,
doesn't have colic, thank God.
when you're in it, it feels like it's forever. And you're looking at, this. I am a what to expect when you're expecting, and a what to expect your first year parent.
Yeah.
And T. Barry Brazelton books.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, there was no internet.
Yeah, no, but
So
those books are like the
Not even no internet. There was no Instagram.
True.
Imagine, what would we do, Achint, without Instagram?
You could ask your mom, your grandma. You could ask a friend, but in the middle of the night,
when you're like
just
spiraling.
No, like when you need to flip ahead a couple months and be like, oh my God, they're going to smile? Really? Do you promise?
No, yeah.
Well, now we have Instagram and TikTok that, scare us on other ways.
Yeah, no, I don't know that it's better. But having, coming to motherhood very young and being very far from anybody
That's tough.
was very isolating. It was very isolating. There were many crying days. And that's why people would say in my family, that's Meryl and her baby, because it was just us against the world.
That's why I feel like this is maybe why you also breastfed for so long.
Yeah,
you were probably like, you just attached. Yeah, like so attached.
Yeah.
So attached to the baby.
Until I bit her.
Yeah, well, I even kept on after she bit me.
She clearly did. Yeah, that's commitment.
No, she breastfed all of us for a long time. So,
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think that happens with a lot of mothers that do feel. I'm just thinking about it, like people that I know that have breastfed like 20 months or whatever. It really is because you have that attachment that this is, forget the husband, right?
Yeah.
It's just me and the baby. The husband comes way after the child.
Yeah, and it wasn't a situation for us. Like, Greg did not feel alienated. I mean, Meredith's dad was happy as could be the more I took over. And of course, my type A, I can do all this by myself personality kicked in no short order. And I did do it all by myself. I mean, we didn't have a very big house. It was easy to keep the house clean. But, I started sewing clothes for her. And I was constantly like tidying up and working in the yard and giving her daily like outside walk.
How are you doing that? I can't even like fold my laundry right now. It just doesn't get done.
No,
she was 22.
Yeah.
Like, let's put it.
I had a lot of energy. And I did not work I did not go back to working.
Yeah.
Until she went to a preschool program at 2.5.
Yeah.
And that was true with all my kids. I did work as a mom, but I did see them up till preschool.
And that's a luxury because
that really is a luxury.
We don't have that.
We don't have that luxury.
And that was because
I'm sure we would.
The dad.
If we could, we would.
No, I said the other day, someone's got to win the lottery here because I mean, I would, if I could stay home with my son until he goes to preschool, I would do it.
Right.
I mean,
like,
the fact that I was saying to my mom the other day, there's a place in Jersey City that literally takes infants as early as 6 weeks old.
Yeah.
And that's so heartbreaking, but it's the truth because some people only get 6 weeks mat leave and that's all you get. And then you have to.
And not everybody has family.
And when I went back then after work, I went back to teaching Montessori.
Right.
3 to 6 year olds.
So you had your kiddos there.
Came. So she wasn't in my class. She was in the classroom next door to me, but it was a school
working.
with 2 classrooms side by side so she could peek through the bathroom. And
you know what's crazy? I remember that setup very vividly. Sure. Like I can see it. I can see it. The sandbox in the back.
What a core memory.
It's It's kind of crazy.
Some Village of Forest kids.
Yeah.
Some of those early friendships.
Well, still have the best friend still to this day. Hi, Emily.
Isn't that crazy? It's crazy. Once I had my second child, I realized that I was now paying a preschool tuition because we didn't get it free, even though we worked there, which is a crime.
That's crazy.
And then I had another child 4 years apart, another child at home whom I had to get childcare for, someone to come to my house. And
It's
then
not
I
worth
realized
it. It's not economically.
I realized I was clearing like $25 a week.
No,
was
I mean, this is
ridiculous.
why a lot
That's
of
a lot of
Indian
people,
couples, their wives stop
home.
working
Yeah.
because the amount of money that you're paying, like if somebody is making like 150,000, you're basically paying like 80K anyways to just daycare.
And I
right?
also had to say,
and it's not worth it.
who is instilling
Plus
these values
tax.
in my kid?
Yeah.
Is it somebody who is loving and well-meaning, but at the end of the day, they don't really care what kind of a human being my kids become?
So we've established that you were young and like fit and all the things when you had me. But then to get to where Achint and I are now, you had 2 other kids, and then your 4th kid, you were pregnant at 35, but delivered at 36.
Yeah. So let's see. I'm born in 68, and your youngest sibling
2005.
is born in 2005 in
March.
and my birthday's in April. So it was just before I had my birthday.
But 37.
Yeah.
So sorry. So you were pregnant at 36. Okay.
Yeah, that's right. So yes, I was very much the young mom at the beginning, meaning none of my friends that I grew up with were
right.
pregnant.
No one was pregnant.
Everyone was still,
In college.
living in the city after college and doing that thing that
Did you ever
everybody does.
resent that you had this other life where now you have a responsibility, even though you're living in like a beautiful place?
Yeah, I don't know that I resented it, but I remember often thinking like, you guys have no clue. Like you have no clue.
No.
That's your life and that's fine. And I don't want it. But yeah, you have no clue about like, really what your life is.
Yeah. I get it.
Yeah. And then when I had Kulia, who's born in 2005, right? I was 36 when I was pregnant. So then I was, at least in Hawaii, very much an older mom. Yeah. Because
Culturally, they get pregnant pretty young. Usually.
there are a lot of different ethnic groups that make up, sort of the kaleidoscope of Hawaii, but many of those groups have children younger.
Yeah.
And it's also a much more of a multi-generational place. So it's no problem to have a bunch of kids when you're younger because you've got aunties and grandmas and extended family.
It's very much a village. Yeah. You need that village, but they are the village.
Yeah. But I had 3 older children when I had that other one. I never hired a babysitter for my 4th child.
Yeah. You didn't need to.
No, this one was 15. And then I had 11 and 7. That's how old my other kids were. So even for the 7-year-old, although she was displaced from being the baby, and I think that was hard for her, she basically had a live doll.
So even though she was AMA with my youngest sibling, she didn't have all the ultrasounds because they just didn't do that.
Plus, AMA at that time, if you already had 3 healthy pregnancies, they didn't treat you that way.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So it's only because we were AMA with first kids.
Yeah. And I don't know if that's the same now, but I'm guessing it's something like that.
Also, don't you think it's like an insurance thing? Because like I've heard so many of my friends that are like, you can totally deny those ultrasounds.
Well, you can. I think you can say that you don't want to do them. Sure.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting. If you do have a second kid, it'll be interesting to see how they treat you.
So here's what I think has happened. You folks have access to great medical care and much more information, heads and shoulders. And that can be great. And it can also be just a mind fuck.
Yeah.
Because these numbers come at you. You don't always know how to interpret them. If you go look online, then you're down a rabbit hole that's going to make you crazy.
And it's all about virality online. So they're going to tell you the worst stories because they want people to click. It's clickbait.
And I almost think it's better that the doctor would say, everything looks fine. I didn't know the numbers. Yeah. She would just look at it and say, everything looks fine.
It honestly is, because me and Meredith would go down all these rabbit holes on checking our tests. I mean, I didn't look at the notes as much as you did. I feel like you definitely looked at the notes a lot more than I did.
Well, she would get things in her patient
I would
portal.
be like, I know that we all do,
right?
But I wouldn't open mine. She would open hers. She was like, "Did you know?" Blah blah. I would open it only on those like week 16, week 32.
So
like
how did you have the
ones.
discipline to do that? Because I think that would be really important for people to do that.
I was like,
she forgot that they were there.
I just felt like it was just too much, and I really wanted to keep it chill. I also was like, I don't really care to get all these ultrasounds. Like, I'm like kind of like a hippie when it comes to those types of things. And I'm like, I feel great. Like even when they wanted to like try to push me for an induction, I like literally looked at the doctor. I was like, like it's not happening.
Well, there was no medical reason at the
There
time.
was no medical reason. I kept on asking him, and he was like,
That's the difference, I think, the gift of
I
the
was like, I'm
advanced maternal
chill.
age mother. You know your body.
Yeah.
You have more
Been
agency.
through more things.
you just have more authority in your
Yes,
voice
you
because you're
know-
just older.
You know how to speak up for yourself. No,
Yeah.
don't even discount that, because I think
That's true.
when you're young, you come in there, first of all, you're frightened. If you don't have like a female family member to advocate for you, or a very strong partner, which if it's his first baby too, the both of you are like the blind leading the blind.
Yeah.
They're really scared because they're seeing you in pain, and this is
And
not,
you don't have a friend that was going through it with you, right? Like
this is
we
not
had,
a childbirth class. This is the
Yeah.
real deal, and
Yeah,
here
yeah.
we are.
Well, that's interesting because that's a good point you just said. And both for mine and Kalia's pregnancy, you probably didn't have any friends like how Achint and I had each other, because you were young and then you were old.
Yeah.
So it was like the two middle. Maybe you had friends that you could meet there.
Yeah,
and you knew
but I
people.
also knew by then. I kind of have to say that I really envy.
Concept of 4 kids sends me.
I envy you guys that you have each other as sounding boards, and I think it's really
we've been very lucky.
it's very important, because I really didn't have that, and I really just nobody who knows me would be surprised to hear this. I just said to myself, like, people have been doing this forever, and you're young and strong, and you can do this. But that's also why I stayed married to somebody for far too long that wasn't serving me, and was kind of changing me to
because you
something I
were
was-
so young, and
yeah, and I
you
just
kind of
didn't-
needed that support when you have a child sometimes.
Yeah, and you just put your head down and you put one foot in front of the other, and you just keep going. But
You try to stay positive, like as much as possible, because if sometimes that's all you can do to just stay afloat. Like you can't really go into the depths of it all. Sometimes it's like you just have, I mean, that's what I did my whole pregnancy. I had to just like stay positive, because even if I knew like, oh, maybe, things won't work out the way I want them to, or my like fantasy of what I want my like family life to be, I have to like be positive while I'm pregnant.
It was the same thing. Like you want to stay positive, and you're like, I just need to give the best energy to my child and just protect that baby. And then when they're out there, I mean, you have to give them even more, because now they're in the physical realm.
Yeah, I think it's almost more. I mean, I worried a lot about Meredith, because I had such incredible grief that year. I lost my dad, who was like just like my cornerstone in my life. And I was a mess for a lot of time. And I just was like, okay,
it's just me and you, little baby.
It's just me and you. Right. But then it's even more important, the energy and the people that you surround your child with after they're born, because they're really soaking it in.
If you had to go back and give yourself advice as when you had me, is there anything you would tell yourself? Probably a lot of things, but like, what are things that kind of stick out to you that like, hey, if I could go back and say this to myself, like, what would you say?
Not to try to be so in control all the time, to let things be imperfect, to let things go undone. Like you were saying, let the house go, let the plants be, a mess if you have a garden. Just like laugh more with your kids, just be joyful with them, because the best part about having kids is it lets you be a kid again.
Yeah.
That's true.
You do.
Let's just cry. When the babies cry, we should cry too.
Yeah. Because it's a lot of fucking work, man. There's got to be.
I've done that though. Like he was having like a breakdown a few weeks before when we were moving. It was just too much for him. And I turn on the shower because he likes the sound of like, like the water or whatever. But he was crying and I was wailing at the same time. I was like, we're just in this together and we're both crying.
The other thing I would tell myself is just like that. It's okay. First of all, it's okay for your kids to see you fall apart, but they have to see you like come back together too.
Yeah.
So you just can't be at loose ends all the time. That's a problem. And if you're struggling with mental health, get some help.
Yeah.
Tell somebody,
100%.
put the child down, pick up the phone and get some help.
Right.
But
there's no shame in that.
Yeah. Oh,
No,
for sure.
no.
For sure. And
Which I think is better now. Like, again, when it comes to social media, that's the positive. I think because people talk about that a lot more than probably when you were having kids, and they talk about PPD and they talk about the relationships that fall apart or the struggles that happen. And it's like, you don't feel as alone.
No. So do you have any regrets in anything that you did as a parent?
oh my gosh. I'm sure I do. But every time I think about that, I say, well, if I hadn't done that, then I wouldn't have this other thing that's positive.
Right.
It's really hard to separate things. I can say I maybe shouldn't have stayed with the kid's dad as long as I did. But then I wouldn't have Kulia, I wouldn't have the fourth. That's separated by so much. So that's mostly for me. And I guess I would say for those people who are facing not knowing if they're going to stay with their partner, it's super hard to know that you're doing something for yourself that might impact your kids. Like getting separated or getting divorced fucking sucks. It's so frightening to think about that. And there were times, of course, when my kids were small and I just sort of doubted, like, could I stay? Should I stay in this for them? And I don't really know if I made the right decision. But I would say to my younger self, if I could talk to my younger self, I would say, like, I would tell my younger self to look out for yourself sooner. Don't stay in a bad place relationally or even in a job or something. Like, don't sacrifice like the essence of who you are for your kids, because you're really not doing them any favors. I feel like a lot of the work with you and your siblings that I do now or have tried to do since the divorce is to repay this debt. Like I modeled something that wasn't really like a strong mother. I mean, I was a Uber mother, I volunteered for everything. I made everything. All the snacks were on point. I was definitely the room mom.
The best birthday cakes.
So I elevated like motherhood as I knew it to
Martha Stewart.
Yeah, kind of like that.
I can't eat any store-bought cake ever because I just can't.
That's amazing.
It's just not.
That's actually great.
And some of that is great, and I'm really glad, and I would never undo that. And sometimes I made myself crazy.
Well, I was always astounded by those mothers growing up because, I mean, I had an immigrant parent. So, like, she was not doing that. Like, I don't think a lot of immigrant parents, I see it now with my generation and, like, the first generation.
They value different things, right?
It was, we always got the home cooked meals. But when it came to, like, going to school and getting, like, oh, somebody's parent made, like, the at-home cupcakes or the cakes or the personalized Valentine's, like, cards and packages.
We did those.
So you got all of those. And I would be, like, astounded, like, how come their moms do all of that and my mom can't? Like that.
But you know what my feeling of that, my memory of that of childhood is? I'm dating myself, but there's a show called The Brady Bunch.
Yeah,
if you know, you know
that show.
Okay, if you know, you know. And in the Brady Bunch, whenever one, like Jan or Marcia had a little dust up, or Cindy, Mama Brady came up to the room and smoothed out the blanket and sat on the bed and had a little chit chat with them and made everything better. And when I had a dust up or an upsetment, I would just go up to my room and turn on Jackson Browne and cry. And my mom never came up, and like she probably decided what I needed was space.
Yeah.
Well, I think she treated you the way that what she needed.
Yeah, and I remember as a child being like, I really just want you to come up and sit on the edge of the bed.
But yeah, I've had those conversations with my mom sometimes.
You know what I would say though? You have such a unique legacy because you came from that immigrant experience. And now, no, here's what I say, because the other thing that I see now, and this is as much of being a mother of four as being a retired elementary school teacher. So I see the lives of many young children. And I will say that giving kids stuff and letting them just kind of dominate in terms of, this is what we're having for dinner because so-and-so wants it. This is where we're going on vacation because the child says we're going there. Like, you can really do a disservice by giving your young child too much power in the family.
And that's not realistic in the world.
Yeah. So I feel like that little immigrant voice behind you, although you can give your son many of the things and that he wants in addition to everything he needs, the challenge I think with people in your guys' position is don't give them everything.
No, exactly. Because I tell my mom that. I'm like, you gave me everything material, but you missed the mark on a lot of things that needed to be there. Like, I could have survived without like 21 Coach purses in high school. I didn't need the new one every season. Yeah. But
that's how she thought she was showing her love.
Yeah, that's how, because yeah. I
That's what
mean,
she thought.
her gift giving is her love language. I mean, you guys just heard her, right? Like right before we started recording.
Yeah.
So like it is one of those things. It's people that have not had that when they have been children. You know, you grow up. And I think that's what we consider like that typical immigrant experience is because, I mean, our parents were not poor when it comes to coming from where they came from, but they were very much average middle class, right?
Mm-hmm.
So everything in America is just a lot more.
Yeah.
And the drive to achieve all those milestones that are so often set by just the material world. The drive is so strong because that's how you show you've assimilated into the society.
Yeah. I
Is you
mean,
get
like,
those
and now
things.
I'm like, with the way that the economy is, I'm like, I would never be able to achieve what my dad was able to achieve. Like, I look at that, I'm like, I
said the
could
same
never.
thing. I mean, my dad built his business from the ground up. And like, I'm not saying that you can't do that now, but I don't think he wouldn't, it'd be a lot harder.
Yeah,
if he
yeah.
was
It's a
doing it
lot
now.
harder. I mean, my dad has admitted it now. He's like, if you wanted to buy the type of house that I have, yeah. He's
Well,
like, I wouldn't be able to afford my own house right now.
Well, also, like we've talked about it before, who the hell has 4 kids now? No one has 4 kids. Unless you live in Piedmont, North Dakota, you can't afford that shit.
Your marriage was not ideal, but like it's fascinating for me because I'm like, I was that little kid that used to like aspire to be like, oh, I want a mom that like that. Or one day when I have a kid, I want to be that mom that's doing all those like, you know, personalized things and like the birthdays and like, not that I didn't get a birthday, but like, you know, going all out with the decorations when you wake up in the morning and passing out those like special little like goodie bags in school and this, that. I mean, like my mom did stuff like, but it was very much like I went to the grocery store and bought
But
that,
you know what?
like-
Would you say that, not to like diminish it, but would you, I wonder, just knowing myself and we're more similar than we're different in a lot of ways. I see that more and more as I get older. I always say I got all the bad stuff from my dad as far as like ailments, like, you know, I'm waiting for the day I get gallstones basically, but I physically look like my dad. Like I always said, I'm like a female version of him. Like if you put him in a girl's body, he'd probably look like me. So, but I feel like my mom and I are more similar than we're different as I get older. And one of the things I wonder, because I'm also very type A and very much like, I like to control what I can control. So when
Same.
things are going left, I'll like focus on the stuff that's going right. And like just hyperfixate. So I wonder if what Achint just said, yes, your marriage was shit, but that's why you were the mom, the Uber mom. Because it was like, okay,
yeah.
I can do this.
Yeah. I mean, like,
So-
I'm wondering where,
So where your mom had a good marriage, like your dad is like an amazing guy.
yeah.
They're, you know,
My dad,
whatever.
like,
So then
does
therefore
everything.
she didn't need to be Uber mom.
no, she didn't. Yeah, I mean, she was very comfortable. She wasn't even like the immigrant mom that had like 17 jobs and was like working left and right. Like she was a comfortable mom.
I
Like,
think
was
family, and maybe my friends who know me well, their criticism would be that, yeah, I masked my unhappiness in my married life with just extreme, like taking things, keeping myself very busy, always trying to do everything very well, very completely, you know, and that, of course, when you have 4 kids, is going to center around your kids. You know, the fact of the matter is I didn't have a phone because there was no cell phone, and I kept all of their details and school appointments and athletic activities and stuff. I just kept it in my head.
wow.
Well, we had a big calendar too.
It's been amazing listening to this story because it's vastly different, obviously, than my mom. She just had like an arranged marriage, like my dad, and that was it, you know? So it's when you were telling this story, by the way, it's like there was like the little immigrant child in me that was like, how the hell did she do all of this? What was going on through her head? How did she just like pick up and leave? Or like, not that I haven't done like things and like, you know, my friends and I have definitely done things and like gone to trips, maybe not told our parents and stuff, but I was just thinking about like you, if it was like an immigrant child and like what were your parents thinking the same time, right? Because as like, I guess like as an Indian person, like, because we're so, you know, we were raised like within the culture or whatever, or it's still in the mindset of our parents, is that there's so many things that like even as adults now, married, have a kid, we're like, oh my God, I can't do that. My mom would do this. My mom would do that. Or our parents would do this. My dad would have, so it's so interesting to listen to your story and just be like, in my mindset, I was like, she was so free-willed to have the luxury, to have that free will. We would have never been able to probably make those decisions because we would be so scared.
Yeah.
It's very cool.
Well, I think that there are pieces of that, of being tied to your family and your family's expectations, that can sometimes be stifling.
Yeah.
But then they're also extremely supportive and anchoring. And
Yeah,
there are
I guess
people out
so.
there maybe who have a lot of free will or feel like they can just fly and do whatever they want and no one's really going to care or no one's going to notice if they make this or that choice in their
But
life.
they wish they had the anchor.
Yeah, and they wish they had the anchor. So it's something to like be celebrated and to thank your parents for. And I think for me, when I finally got the nerve to just try something different, I really do think it was my father who saw in me somebody who had lived up until that point, just always doing the right thing and following just this path of this very hyperachieving scholar athlete. And I think he wanted me to do something different.
I think that's amazing though, because I can see myself now having that luxury of being brought up in America, that if my child wanted to do something like that, I'd be like, yeah, go for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But
that's good. You're not going to repeat the same cycle then.
Yeah. Hopefully, my son, if I ever have future kids, they go into something that's completely different.
Yeah.
They're all going to be influencers. They'll be fine.
I know, right?
Well, thank you, ladies. This is a lovely
Thank you.
Yes, thanks, Mom.
Thank you.
You're welcome, my love.
You're
It's
welcome.
beautiful. What a beautiful story.